1번. 밑줄 친 미디어 다이엇가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
The most dangerous threat to our ability to concentrate is not that we use our smartphone during working hours, but that we use it too irregularly, by checking our emails every now and then, on the computer and our text messages here and there on our phone. With no particular schedule or rhythm in mind, our brain loses its ability to effectively filter. The solution is to regulate your devices as if you were on a strict diet. When it comes to nutrition, sticking to a fixed time plan for breakfast, lunch, and dinner allows your metabolism to adjust, thereby causing less hunger during the in-between phases. Your belly will start to rumble around 12:30 p.m. each day, but that's okay because that's a good time to eat lunch. If something unexpected happens, you can add a snack every now and then to get fresh energy. But your metabolism will remain under control. It's the same with our brain when you put it on a media diet. 1. Balancing the consumption of traditional and online media. 2. Regulating the use of media devices with a set schedule. 3. Avoiding false nutritional information from the media. 4. Stimulating your brain with various media sources. 5. Separating yourself from toxic media contents. The answer is 2. Regulating the use of media devices with a set schedule.
2번. 밑줄 친 PC is PC- 스타일 어시멀레이션이 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은? 3점.
Studies by Vosniado and Brewer illustrate fish is fish-style assimilation in the context of young children's thinking about the Earth. They worked with children who believed that the Earth is flat, because this fit their experiences and attempted to help them understand that, in fact, it is spherical. When told it is round, children often pictured the Earth as a pancake, rather than as a sphere. If they were then told that it is round like a sphere, they interpreted the new information about a spherical Earth within their flat Earth view, by picturing a pancake-like flat surface inside, or on top of a sphere, with humans standing on top of the pancake. The model of the Earth that they had developed, and that helped them explain how they could stand or walk upon its surface, did not fit the model of a spherical Earth. Like the story Fish is Fish, where a fish imagines everything on land to be fish-like, everything the children heard was incorporated into their pre-existing views. 1. Established knowledge is questioned and criticized. 2. Novel views are always favored over existing ones. 3. All one's claims are evaluated based on others' opinions. 4. New information is interpreted within one's own views. 5. New theories are established through experiments. The answer is 4. New information is interpreted within one's own views.
3번. 밑줄 친 bringing together contradictory characteristics가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
The creative team exhibits paradoxical characteristics. It shows tendencies of thought and action that we'd assume to be mutually exclusive or contradictory. For example, to do its best work, a team needs deep knowledge of subjects relevant to the problem it's trying to solve, and a mastery of the processes involved. But at the same time, the team needs fresh perspectives that are unencumbered by the prevailing wisdom or established ways of doing things. Often called a beginner's mind, this is the newcomer's perspective, people who are curious, even playful, and willing to ask anything, no matter how naive the question may seem, because they don't know what they don't know. Thus, bringing together contradictory characteristics can accelerate the process of new ideas. 1. Establishing short-term and long-term goals. 2. Performing both challenging and easy tasks. 3. Adopting temporary and permanent solutions. 4. Utilizing aspects of both experts and rookies. 5. Considering processes and results simultaneously. The answer is 4. Utilizing aspects of both experts and rookies.
4번. 밑줄 친 더 이너선트 메선저 후 폴즈 비포 어 파이링 라인이 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은? 3점.
Perhaps worse than attempting to get the bad news out of the way is attempting to soften it or simply not address it at all. This mum effect, a term coined by psychologists Sidney Rosen and Abraham Tesser in the early 1970s, happens because people want to avoid becoming the target of others' negative emotions. We all have the opportunity to lead change, yet it often requires of us the courage to deliver bad news to our superiors. We don't want to be the innocent messenger who falls before a firing line. When our survival instincts kick in, they can override our courage until the truth of a situation gets watered down. The mum effect and the resulting filtering can have devastating effects in a steep hierarchy. Writes Robert Sutton, an organizational psychologist. What starts out as bad news becomes happier and happier as it travels up the ranks because, after each boss hears the news from his or her subordinates, he or she makes it sound a bit less bad before passing it up the chain. 1. The employee being criticized for being silent. 2. The peacemaker who pursues nonviolent solutions. 3. The negotiator who looks for a mutual understanding. 4. The subordinate who wants to get attention from the boss. 5. The person who gets the blame for reporting unpleasant news. The answer is 5. The person who gets the blame for reporting unpleasant news.
5번. 밑줄 친 더 OMNIVOR ES 패러닥스가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
Humans are omnivorous, meaning that they can consume and digest a wide selection of plants and animals found in their surroundings. The primary advantage to this is that they can adapt to nearly all earthly environments. The disadvantage is that no single food provides the nutrition necessary for survival. Humans must be flexible enough to eat a variety of items, sufficient for physical growth and maintenance, yet cautious enough not to randomly ingest foods that are physiologically harmful and, possibly, fatal. This dilemma, the need to experiment, combined with the need for conservatism, is known as the omnivore's paradox. It results in two contradictory psychological impulses regarding diet. The first is an attraction to new foods. The second is a preference for familiar foods. 1. Irony of wanting but disliking nutritious food. 2. Conflict between vegetarians and meat eaters. 3. Sacrificing quality of food for quantity of food. 4. Difficulty in judging whether something is edible. 5. Need to be both flexible and cautious about foods. The answer is 5. Need to be both flexible and cautious about foods.
6번. 밑줄 친 TRAIning 포어 메러산이 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은? 3점.
The known fact of contingencies, without knowing precisely what those contingencies will be, shows that disaster preparation is not the same thing as disaster rehearsal, no matter how many mock disasters are staged. According to prior plans, the real disaster will never mirror any one of them. Disaster preparation planning is more like training for a marathon than training for a high jump competition or a sprinting event. Marathon runners do not practice by running the full course of 26 miles rather. They get into shape by running shorter distances and building up their endurance with cross-training. If they have prepared successfully, then they are in optimal condition to run the marathon over its predetermined course and length, assuming a range of weather conditions, predicted or not. This is normal marathon preparation. 1. Developing the potential to respond to a real disaster. 2. Making a long-term recovery plan for a disaster. 3. Seeking cooperation among related organizations. 4. Saving basic disaster supplies for an emergency. 5. Testing a runner's speed as often as possible. The answer is 1. Developing the potential to respond to a real disaster.
7번. 밑줄 친 give away the house가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은? 3점.
For companies interested in delighting customers, exceptional value and service become part of the overall company culture. For example, year after year, Pisano ranks at or near the top of the hospitality industry. In terms of customer satisfaction, the company's passion for satisfying customers is summed up in its credo, which promises that its luxury hotels will deliver a truly memorable experience. Although a customer-centered firm seeks to deliver high customer satisfaction relative to competitors, it does not attempt to maximize customer satisfaction. A company can always increase customer satisfaction by lowering its price or increasing its services, but this may result in lower profits. Thus, the purpose of marketing is to generate customer value profitably. This requires a very delicate balance. The marketer must continue to generate more customer value and satisfaction, but not give away the house. 1. Risk the company's profitability. 2. Overlook a competitor's strengths. 3. Hurt the reputation of the company. 4. Generate more customer complaints. 5. Abandon customer-oriented marketing. The answer is 1. Risk the company's profitability.
8번. 밑줄 친 턴즈 더 라이프 스토리즈 오브 디즈 사이언티스트 프롬 레드 투 골드가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은 3점.
In school, there's one curriculum, one right way to study science. And one right formula that spits out the correct answer on a standardized test. Textbooks with grand titles like The Principles of Physics magically reveal the principles in 300 pages. An authority figure then steps up to the lectern to feed us the truth. As theoretical physicist David Gross explained in his Nobel lecture, textbooks often ignore the many alternate paths that people wandered down, the many false clues they followed, the many misconceptions they had. We learn about Newton's laws as if they arrived by a grand divine visitation, or a stroke of genius, but not the years he spent exploring, revising, and changing them. The laws that Newton failed to establish, most notably his experiments in alchemy, which attempted, and spectacularly failed, to turn lead into gold, don't make the cut as part of the one-dimensional story told in physics classrooms. Instead, our education system turns the life stories of these scientists from lead to gold. 1. Discovers the valuable relationships between scientists. 2. Emphasizes difficulties in establishing new scientific theories. 3. Mixes the various stories of great scientists across the world. 4. Focuses more on the scientists' work than their personal lives. 5. Reveals only the scientists' success, ignoring their processes and errors. The answer is 5. Reveals only the scientists' success, ignoring their processes and errors.
9번. 밑줄 친 더 사일런트 킬러즈가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은
Author Elizabeth Gilbert tells the fable of a great saint who would lead his followers in meditation. Just as the followers were dropping into their Zen moment, they would be disrupted by a cat that would walk through the temple meowing and bothering everyone. The saint came up with a simple solution. He began to tie the cat to a pole during meditation sessions. This solution quickly developed into a ritual tie. The cat to the pole first, meditate second. When the cat eventually died of natural causes, a religious crisis followed. What were the followers supposed to do? How could they possibly meditate without tying the cat to the pole? This story illustrates what I call invisible rules. These are habits and behaviors that have unnecessarily rigidified into rules. Although written rules can be resistant to change, invisible ones are more stubborn. They're the silent killers. 1. Hidden rules that govern our actions unconsciously. 2. Noises that restrict one's level of concentration. 3. Surroundings that lead to the death of a cat. 4. Internal forces that slowly lower our self-esteem. 5. Experiences that discourage us from following rules. The answer is 1. Hidden rules that govern our actions unconsciously.
10번. 밑줄 친 더 디마크러터제이션 오브 비즈너스 퍼낸싱이 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은
Crowdfunding is a new and more collaborative way to secure funding for projects. It can be used in different ways, such as requesting donations for a worthy cause anywhere in the world and generating funding for a project with the contributors, then becoming partners in the project. In essence, crowdfunding is the fusion of social networking and venture capitalism, in just the same way as social networks have rewritten the conventional rules about how people communicate and interact with each other. Crowdfunding in all its variations has the potential to rewrite the rules on how businesses and other projects get funded in the future. Crowdfunding can be viewed as the democratization of business financing. Instead of restricting capital sourcing and allocation to a relatively small and fixed minority, crowdfunding empowers everyone connected to the internet to access both the collective wisdom and the pocket money of everyone else who connects to the internet. 1. More people can be involved in funding a business. 2. More people will participate in developing new products. 3. Crowdfunding can reinforce the conventional way of financing. 4. Crowdfunding keeps social networking from facilitating funding. 5. The internet helps employees of a company interact with each other. The answer is 1. More people can be involved in funding a business.
11번. 밑줄 친 컨스턴틀리 웨링 매스크스가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은 3점.
Over the centuries, various writers and thinkers, looking at humans from an outside perspective, have been struck by the theatrical quality of social life. The most famous quote expressing this comes from Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts. If the theater and actors were traditionally represented by the image of masks, writers such as Shakespeare are implying that all of us are constantly wearing masks. Some people are better actors than others. Evil types such as Iago in the play Othello are able to conceal their hostile intentions behind a friendly smile. Others are able to act with more confidence and bravado. They often become leaders. People with excellent acting skills can better navigate our complex social environments and get ahead. 1. Protecting our faces from harmful external forces. 2. Performing on stage to show off our acting skills. 3. Feeling confident by beating others in competition. 4. Doing completely the opposite of what others expect. 5. Adjusting our behavior based on the social context given. The answer is 5. Adjusting our behavior based on the social context given.
12번. 밑줄 친 Eating My Problems for Breakfast가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은
Research in the science of peak performance and motivation points to the fact that different tasks should ideally be matched to our energy level. For example, analytical tasks are best accomplished when our energy is high, and we are free from distractions and able to focus. I generally wake up energized. Over the years, I have consistently stuck to the habit of eating my problems for breakfast. I'm someone who tends to overthink different scenarios and conversations that haven't happened yet. When I procrastinate on talking with an unhappy client or dealing with an unpleasant email, I find I waste too much emotional energy during the day. It's as if the task hangs over my head, and I'll spend more time worrying about it, talking about it, and avoiding it, than it would actually take to just take care of it. So for me, it'll always be the first thing I get done. If you know you are not a morning person, be strategic about scheduling your difficult work later in the day. 1. Thinking of breakfast as fuel for the day. 2. Trying to reflect on pleasant events from yesterday. 3. Handling the most demanding tasks while full of energy. 4. Spending the morning time improving my physical health. 5. Preparing at night to avoid decision-making in the morning. The answer is 3. Handling the most demanding tasks while full of energy.
13번. 밑줄 친 Helping Move the Needle Forward가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은
Everyone's heard the expression "don't let the perfect become the enemy of the good." If you want to get over an obstacle so that your idea can become the solution-based policy you've long dreamed of, you can't have an all-or-nothing mentality. You have to be willing to alter your idea and let others influence its outcome. You have to be okay with the outcome being a little different, even a little less than you wanted. Say you're pushing for a Clean Water Act. Even if what emerges isn't as well-funded as you wished, or doesn't match how you originally conceived the bill, you'll have still succeeded in ensuring that kids in troubled areas have access to clean water. That's what counts, that they will be safer. Because of your idea and your effort. Is it perfect? No. Is there more work to be done? Absolutely. But in almost every case, helping move the needle forward is vastly better than not helping at all. 1. Spending time and money on celebrating perfection. 2. Suggesting cost-saving strategies for a good cause. 3. Making a difference as best as the situation allows. 4. Checking your resources before altering the original goal. 5. Collecting donations to help the education of poor children. The answer is 3. Making a difference as best as the situation allows.
14번. 밑줄 친 Have entirely lost our marbles가 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은
North America's native cuisine met the same unfortunate fate as its native people. Save for a few relics like the Thanksgiving turkey. Certainly, we still have regional specialties. But the Carolina barbecue will almost certainly have California tomatoes in its sauce. And the Louisiana gumbo is just as likely to contain Indonesian farmed shrimp. If either of these shows up on a fast food menu with lots of added fats or HFCS, we seem unable either to discern or resist the corruption. We have yet to come up with a strong set of generalized norms, passed down through families, for savoring and sensibly consuming what our land and climate give us. We have, instead, a string of fad diets convulsing our bookstores and bellies, one after another, at the scale of the national bestseller. 9 out of 10 nutritionists view this as evidence that we have entirely lost our marbles. 1. Have utterly disrupted our complex food supply chain. 2. Have vividly witnessed the rebirth of our classic recipes. 3. Have completely denied ourselves access to healthy food. 4. Have become totally confused about our distinctive food identity. 5. Have fully recognized the cultural significance of our local foods. The answer 4. Have become totally confused about our distinctive food identity.
15번. 밑줄 친 포워드 싱킹이 다음 글에서 의미하는 바로 가장 적절한 것은?
I suspect fungi are a little more forward-thinking than their larger partners. Among trees, each species fights other species. Let's assume the beeches native to Central Europe could emerge victorious in most forests there. Would this really be an advantage? What would happen if a new pathogen came along that infected most of the beeches and killed them? In that case, wouldn't it be more advantageous if there were a certain number of other species around oaks, maples, or firs that would continue to grow and provide the shade needed for a new generation of young beeches to sprout and grow up? Diversity provides security for ancient forests. Because fungi are also very dependent on stable conditions, they support other species underground and protect them from complete collapse, to ensure that one species of tree doesn't manage to dominate. 1. Responsible for the invasion of foreign species. 2. Eager to support the dominance of one species. 3. Aware that diversity leads to the stability of forests. 4. Indifferent to helping forests regenerate after collapse. 5. Careful that their territories are not occupied by other species. The answer is 3. Aware that diversity leads to the stability of forests.